I know Steve's been having a lot of fun with on his adventure bikes. It's his stories on just kind of Motorcycle Monday nights when we see each other. It's been a lot of fun to hear his tales. So I'm really excited to hear his story of 1 year. Please welcome to the stage, Steve Traversa.
Hello. Hello. And this story, I know the picture is a bagger, but this story is how I got into dirt riding, but it does start with a street glide. So, basically the street glide is a bike that I rented actually, and I took it on a trip to Texas. And so this kind of started this path. So I was at a point a couple of years ago where it was like, okay, I could go in this direction with my motorcycling, or I could go in this direction or this direction. And I like all of them, but only one can be at the top. Only one can be the winner. And so this starts kind of my journey here. So what I did was I started renting bikes. So I subscribed to Eagle Rider, which I think the top subscription, I just went balls out, like balls to the walls, just went nuts. And I think it's like 12 credits a month. It's a ridiculously large amount of credits. And I actually ended up wasting like 86 of them because I had so many I didn't know what to do with them. But so this is the bike that I kind of took to Texas, and this is a whole other story. But this, kind of started my journey. This right here is crucial. This is very important. So in this photo, I had been riding for about 8 or 9 hours at this point. And to get to where I was going, I was going to stop in Springfield, Missouri, but to get where I was going, it would have only taken like 8 hours, but it took 11. And it was raining the entire time, just pouring. And that's a whole other story, but have you ever had a Subway sandwich? Okay, and you just you feel that Subway sandwich in your soul. And so this was one of those moments where, we'll just pay homage to Subway for a moment. For whenever you stumble in, it's 3:30 in the morning and you need a sub sandwich, or you've been riding in 8 hours of rain and you just need something to get you through the next 4 hours of riding. So quick trip, gotta stop at a quick trip. Okay, keep going. Gotta do that. I think this is on the way back now, so Oklahoma. So I visited my friend this is on the way there, so this is Oklahoma. I was visiting my friend in Amarillo, Texas, and he's also a music teacher, so we were getting together, just like an old college friend. It was an excuse to ride. So there's me in Texas after we visited the boot store, and so that was just a fun little moment. But there's some more photos. We'll keep going, because again, I don't want to take forever on the street stuff discussing. Keep going.
I'm trying.
Oh wait, this is the end. Yeah, so this is the moment where I'm going to ask Susan to reset my slides because they're out of order. So thank you very much, MC.
Close your eyes.
Don't look. Okay, can we see? Okay, good. This is a photo of my first dirt day. So this is actually the next year, and what happened was, now I'm like, okay, I got to try a bunch of dirt days, try a bunch of track days. I tried long distance riding, and I have all these bikes, so I'm test riding bikes still. Meanwhile, so this is my first actual dirt bike ride. Okay, so this bike is actually not even mine. So I basically went to all my friends and said, guys, I'm trying to ride different styles, trying to ride different bikes. If there's anything you can help out with, let me know. And so I also talked to some of my colleagues. So I'm an instructor as well at Ride Chicago Motorcycle School. So I do a lot of training for motorcycles. And this actually at the time was my boss, Brad's bike. And he was like, you gotta come try off-road. I got a WR, so meet me at the Badlands in Indiana. And so he drove up there separately. So he was already there, I think. He was camping the night or something, and I was meeting him there. And so I'm driving there, and I look in my back seat, and I'm like, I forgot a major thing. My helmet. So I realized this on my way there, and I've never been to the Badlands, so I have no idea what I'm gonna do. I'm like, well, I'm gonna go, I'm halfway there, I might as well just show up and fuck it, if I, I'll figure it out when I get there. Maybe I'll shove my head into Brad's helmet or whatever. And so I forgot all my gear. I didn't even have gloves. So when I get to the Badlands, fortunately when you go to the Badlands, if you've ever been there, there's a big store and they sell bikes and gear, and so I was like, thank God they have this here. So I ended up buying helmets and goggles that were like $5 and literally broke like the next weekend. But what happened was, this was after we were switching back and forth, 20-minute rides or whatever. And so I had just came back from the last ride of the day, and there are Jeeps a lot of the Badlands, so there's some giant puddles occasionally. And this is also my first time riding off-road. And so I hit the puddle, and what happened was, it was normal, everything's fine. everything's going great. Boom, giant hole. So I guess a Jeep or something got stuck and just like burrowed out this giant hole. And so I was like, oh, there's only one thing I can do, which is I just got a sender, you know? I just got a sender. So I whacked the throttle and I launched my rear tire into the hole and then popped myself out. And I didn't get stuck. And I actually didn't even get muddy. You can go to the next photo there. I actually didn't even get full of mud below, like maybe up to here, because of the way that I approached it. It just worked out that way. So it was also pretzel day. So if you watch The Office, there you go. So that was the same day as pretzel day, and also happens to be our MC season's birthday as well. So happy pretzel day, happy birthday, and let's go. And so basically after that ride, I had already known at that moment that it was going to be dirt. Okay? But you know, we still have some build up. You know what? I just started this whole rendezvous into like different riding styles. I'm not gonna quit now. Like I'm gonna have fun while I can, right? And so this is another road glide that I rented, and you can go to the next one. This is actually a group ride I led. So Ride Chicago was doing something cool where they would pay us. This was like the gravy train. Like they would pay us to go route out a ride, and we weren't allowed to use highways because a lot of beginners would come on these rides. And yeah, so this was a fun thing, and this is just another step, like riding big baggers and riding different bikes. You can keep going. It's a great photo of some friends there, still people that I ride with to this day, some of them. And yeah, that was on the way back by the Rock River there, so that was beautiful. And okay, this next one is more dirt journeying, so this would have been in June at this point. I think this would be the year 2021 here, so that would be the year. But this ride is a fun little ride in Galena that we do every year called the Hugelschaft. Which don't ask me what that means, it's some dirt and stuff, but this is a great ride. Again, you can see Brad's bike in the background, but this time I'm on a GS 1200 2008 that I rented. And so if you guys ever need a GS, this guy's on Twisted Road. And I use Twisted Road because at the time, Eagle Rider is a bunch of hogs. So as much as I love ripping a hog, I needed an adventure bike. So here's an adventure bike, just another taste of that off-road, and there's a couple other photos I think here. This is a photo at the campsite, and so we're about to get ready to ride here. And what you guys need to know about this ride is that every time me and Brad go out and ride, in which we don't do anymore very much because he moved to Florida, but when he lived here, we would ride a lot. And right here, we would always meet up with the Lithuanian guys. And so I didn't even know their names. I just knew we're gonna ride with the Lithuanian guys, okay? So that's all I knew. I didn't even know their names. And so these guys are the craziest people I've ever met. I don't think any of them are here right now, but this is my first time riding off-road, and these guys are on gravel roads, and they're hauling ass. They're going like 60 miles an hour on gravel roads. This is the first time I've ridden off-road. And so, and then the other crazy thing about them is they stop and they drink like fish, and then they get back on the bike and they're just sending it. Okay, so they're insane. They're out of their minds. Okay, so I didn't know that on an adventure bike you weren't supposed to just power slide every single corner. So since that was fun to me, I was literally getting loose every corner. I was just like hammering it, which is kind of like a dick bag thing to do. And I didn't really know that at the time because this is my first time riding the adventure bike. It tears up the trails and you throw rocks at people behind you, and it's really fun sometimes, but you don't want to hit your buddies with a roost because then they maybe don't want to ride with you anymore. But I remember taking a corner and I slid through it, and it got tighter. It was a decreasing radius corner, like sweeping gravel road. And so I slid off of the road, and the guy behind me, I guess he target fixated, his name is Rob, but now he has a Tenere as well. He's part of the Tenere crew. But yeah, he followed me off. He was on a GS 1150. We followed me off the road, and he basically was like, dude, don't power slide every single corner. Like, what are you doing? And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. This is my first time riding this stuff. So he basically taught me, you're supposed to counterweight through the turns off road. And so after that, I was a much better rider and much safer. But we can go to the next one. This is actually my manager at Ride Chicago. So I made a little edit of him. So at Galena, we stayed at the hotel, and there was like a little track that you can ride down, and he rode down it. And then yeah, those guys met us there. They were riding. So a couple other instructors, Jay and Ian, if anyone is familiar with Ride Chicago staff, met us up there and rode some street stuff while we did the filthy dirt stuff. Okay, this is one of my first track days that year. Yeah, look at that. I'm not on a bagger. This was actually the bike that I owned at the time, which was an MT-09, which is a great bike, but it lacks a little bit at the track. But this was the course at Motovid that is like 3-to-1. Okay, so I think it's Sport Riding 101. If you guys are interested in doing track days, it's one of the best things that I recommend for new beginners because you're one of 3 people and there's an instructor like watching you every single ride. So there we go. Okay, another group ride here. Okay, so this time I rode the MT-09. A couple other friends I keep in contact. This guy right here. This is Pago. He's another instructor, and I still ride with a bunch of these people as well. So those group rides were really crucial for me and helping me out with this. But we can keep going. I think there's a couple of photos. We rode up to Fox Lake here, and then I made everyone do the gravel scramble and check out a little water action at Fox Lake. And so this is a really interesting story. So I went up to the UP and I rode some trails up there. It was at Iron Mountain. It was when Motorworks was doing their stuff up there. I think they did it like a yearly off-road event there. And so this was the plane that I boarded in, and this was like during school, I think. So so I had like 4 days off, and I didn't have time to trailer up there and trailer back, so I had to fly there. And basically what it was, I don't have a bike, I have nothing. Like, how am I gonna do this? But I want to make it happen. And so Jay pulled some strings for me and got Johnny to let me use a Himalayan, which I know a couple people have Himalayans. Yeah, those are great bikes. And so it was this crazy thing. So my boss, Brad, my boss went and picked up the Himalayan from Motorworks and trailered it up there for me while I helped aboard this death trap of a plane at O'Hare and flew up to the Upper Peninsula and then rode motorcycles and then flew back and then made my boss take my bike back for me. So if we look at the next couple photos here, and this is me on the Himalayan riding up the ski hills, and we also did a training session. Actually, that's Brad on a Z125, and he just like went nuts and just started riding his Z125 on mountains, so that was great. And he was actually following Sean Thomas, who is a BMW off-road rider. He was doing some training up there, and so this trip was crucial for me because it was the first time I had any off-road, like actual training from a real BMW coach. And there's one moment that I'd like to share with you about that course. And so it was like basically a dirt field, like just a field of dirt. It used to be grass, but it was ripped up for some reason, so it was just a field of dirt. And I'm on the Himalayan, and basically it was standing up exercise. We're standing up, come to a stop, hold it, and then keep going. But they added an extra layer like halfway through, which is where they go up to your bike and they grab it and start doing this to the back of your back end. Okay, so the guy comes up to me, grabs my back end, starts moving it. I try to take off, the bike stalls because he's holding it. So, and this is how balanced the Royal Enfield Himalayan is. I sat there and held the bike, pulled the clutch in, started it up, and then, by the time he was gone, I didn't even put a foot down. Like, it just stayed balanced. And so that was one of the first times I stayed balanced on a bike for a long time. And Himalayans are really well balanced, and I've seen them do some crazy things. The weight must be down lower. I don't know if Royal Enfield tried to do that, but maybe it was just that's just how it happened. But they're really nice. Yeah, this was like at the bottom of the ski hill. Like if you were actually skiing this, you would stop here and have a drink before you continue skiing. So someone said they're in snowboards, right, Jason? Yeah. So there you go. Have you ever been there?
Oh yeah.
Oh, look at that. I'm just a whole year, so sorry. I'm going over a year here, but I have to kind of finish up this story by saying basically I knew it was dirt. It was dirt time, and so I ended up buying this piece of shit WR250, and this thing absolutely sucked. But I loved the shit out of this bike. Okay, so I bought it from this crazy guy in Naperville that just like he like rode illegal trails in Naperville. I guess there's illegal trails. Anyone know about those? Like if you know, hit me up. But I guess there's a bunch of illegal trails, so he put a bunch of black plastics on it and then just like ran from the cops. And he was like older than my dad, so I don't know. This guy was just absolutely nuts. But so I bought his bike from him, and you can keep going here. Here's me at the Galena ride. So this is the second year, and why I'm bringing this up is because I basically repeated all the off-road rides I did the year before, but now with my own bike. Okay, so here's WR. This is in Galena. This is Hugel and Shaft with Brad, of course. Crazy Brad. This was a really fun ride for us because a bunch of guys on big adventure bikes that are going 70, and our top speed is like 70. So we're kind of hanging behind them and like racing each other and like popping wheelies and just doing dumb shit in the back, and it was amazing. So that was just an awesome ride. We can keep going here. This was a day that the old guys didn't want to go for a ride, and so I was like, I'm gonna go for a ride. with other people, even though there's guys that were older than them in the ride that I was with. And actually this fellow right here, and to be honest, I don't even remember his name, but he lived there. He grew up in Galena, moved to Iowa, and he knew the trails like the back of his hand. And so this guy took us on trails that were not scripted. They weren't on the routes. They were completely this guy could have took us to the woods and just, but he didn't. And we're still here to tell the story. But he rode this crazy old Honda, I think NX or something, and he just was an absolute sender. And he would wear a 3/4 helmet with no gloves off-road. Who does that? If you're wearing no gloves off-road and dirt is hitting you in the hands, what is wrong with you? I think because he's just always at the front, maybe. He just doesn't wear gloves. There's no roost for him to worry about because he knows all the trails. So we can keep going there. So this is that next year Hoolan Shaft. This is my iconic photo here that you may have seen at the beginning. And I'm not sponsored by Havoc Racing Goggles, but if you know anyone that needs to sponsor someone, and when I did tag them in that post on Instagram, and they responded, so that was pretty nice. But anyway, that's kind of my most badass photo on a motorcycle, so we can keep going here. This is not one of my least badass photos on a motorcycle. And this was right after I went head first, and you can see, I know it's a little hard to see, but you can see this right here. Okay, so that's where I went. So I ran myself right into a bush. There was a concrete area, gravel before concrete and then gravel again. And so I was standing up and leaning over the front tire, and then I hit the concrete and I lost the rear tire, and it just kind of flew right into a bush. And as much as I like riding into bushes, that wasn't the best thing. So we can keep going there. This is still the same ride. Okay, this is the Upper Peninsula, and this is actually Brad. Yeah, anyway, so we rode in the UP this next year, and this is actually starting one of the most powerful weekends I've ever had in motorcycling, and maybe the most powerful I'll ever have. But we took our street bikes, we loaded them up on Brad's Transit. So we had his MT-07, my MT-09 on the back, and both of our WRs on a Ford Transit. And we linked them up and we rode up to the UP with the moto campers of Chicago there. So this photo takes place after we had ridden all the way up on our street bikes to the Copper Harbor, and he took all his motorcycle gear off and jumped into Lake Superior for fun, out of his own will. So this is him freezing his ass off. Here's some of the off-road stuff. That was just an awesome photo. We're camping with the moto campers, and moto camping, this was the first time I'd ever moto camped. I mean, this is just, and that just is kind of part of ADV territory. So since I'm riding off-road, I kind of been forced to sleep in tents and stuff, but one day maybe I'll get my van life, and when I make my millions, which won't happen because I'm a high school teacher. But okay, so this is on the way back. We hit Blackhawk Farms in South Beloit, pulled our street bikes off the trailers, camped that night. Gosh, that shower at the track that night was just amazing. And honestly, I wasn't feeling up for this track day. I was like, I don't want to do this, and so I ended up doing it. And it ended up being a really great experience. This is the Motorworks track day there at Blackhawk Farms, and we can keep going there. And so I got, similar progress to my last one, but this time was my first time riding in the intermediate group. And so if you thank you. So your first time riding an intermediate track day is a completely different experience from a basic. Structure, 20 minutes classroom, 20 minutes of break, 20 minutes of riding, go, go, go. Intermediate track day, here's the track, don't kill yourself. Good luck, buddy. And so I was probably one of the slower riders of the day, but I do remember one moment. There's the double apex there at Blackhawk Farms, and I just remember that Brad would wait until that double apex. He was behind me, and I could hear him behind me, and I was like, "You motherfucker!" Right at the double apex, he would fly right past me, just take me from the outside, and just wait for that corner. So he did that pretty much every lap that he would lap me, which happened very frequently. But so that was kind of funny. But that was a great day. A lot of Motorworks guys up there. And then so back at the Badlands here with Brad, and this was kind of the end here of that year, but that Badlands trip was pretty great. I was on my own bike, we were riding together, so we went up a level from when I forgot my helmet and basically ruined it in every way. But I bought a Tenere. Here you go. That's the stock form, but if you look outside, it looks a little different than that. So I've taken this bike I've taken it to South Dakota this year and some other places, and so this is kind of the outcome of those 2 years. There's Ben. Hey Ben. We're making a little heart there. Tenere love. Okay, this is I took a heavy enduro class with it, so you can play that video of me doing savagery with the Tenere. Yeah.
Oh, big
Yeah. That was a little weird landing, to be honest. It felt a little strange, but yeah, Heavy Enduro. If you guys don't know those guys, they're wonderful, and they take care of you and they take lots of photos. There's another video I think of me and Andy Janik ripping in a riverbed here. So double Tenere action, except his Tenere is done up. So we'll see. Yeah, he jumps rocks. I'm not jumping that. Yeah, following Andy is a mistake. I learned that the hard way. But so there's a couple more, I think, and then I'm gonna call it a day here. Some counter waiting. Wait, I finally did it. Look at that! Wow, I counter weighted and not power sliding anymore. I followed Andy. Okay, don't follow him. Don't fucking follow him. He's crazy. Yeah, that's another photo in the air that Susan got of me. And then this is actually what I'm gonna do tomorrow, but this is last year's version. So this is the bitter end. It's an enduro ride, and so I'm gonna go rip it up tomorrow. This ride right here was an absolute slop fest. It had rained like the week before, and it was just like knee-deep mud, and it was the hardest riding I've ever done. And so tomorrow should be dry, and so I'm gonna redeem myself here. The thing about this ride is that my rear suspension was completely blown, and so it was just like rubber banding back there as I ride through like 6 inches of deep mud. And yeah, it was not great, but it was still fun. And then there's a couple more photos here, and that's me getting the liquid courage to finish the last 5 miles. They have a little stop where you can drink all their Busch Lights and whatever classy beers they have in Morrison, Illinois. And this was South Dakota, and we were ripping it up right after this Spurgeon Dunbar from Brazil flew by us, and took some photos, and then a bee flew in my jacket, and just and that was fun. But anyway, that's the end of my presentation, and thank you very much.
Thank you to Steve for sharing all of that growth that you had in that 1 year's time. Congratulations. I know you found some dirt. I know you have a lot more stories to tell. I've heard a few of these stories, and I'm looking forward to another set of stories from you. Thank you, Steve.